This one might be kind of difficult for us. So first I'm going to do my little T-chart here, so statements and reasons. So our last step will be whatever we're trying to prove. So that'll go last. Once I do that, then I'm done. So we're trying to prove that DEA, so DEA, this triangle right here, is congruent to BEA, this triangle. So these two triangles are congruent. So first I'm going to write down everything I know. So I know that angle DCE, so D to C to E, so that's this angle right here, is congruent to this angle right here, so BCE. And that's given. I also know, I guess I could use the numbers, angle DAE is congruent to angle BAE. So instead of using all the letters, you could just say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 and angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. But it can't hurt to practice writing it in angle form. That's also given. So now I need to move on to the rest of the proof. So if I was looking at this triangle right here, they've already given us two angles. We already know that this angle is congruent and those angles are congruent. So we got two angles. Again, how many things do we need to prove two triangles are congruent? We need 3. So we got 2. Notice that this side right here is being used by this triangle and this triangle down here. So of course it has to be the same length for both triangles. So CA has to be congruent to CA. And what was that property called? The reflexive property. So that just says something is congruent or equal to itself. And this is a side. So I have 3 things here. So I know this angle, and this angle, and this side are my 3 things. So what order do they go in? Well, this side right here is touching both of the angles. It's in between the 2 angles. So the side should be in between the 2 angles. So that's a postulate. So the ASA postulate. And that tells me that triangle CDA is congruent to triangle CBA. And you may be saying, well, Glutz, that's not what we're trying to prove. We're trying to prove DEA is congruent to BEA. Now we can do that. So our next step, so this is kind of a longer proof. Since we know that the 2 triangles, these 2 triangles are congruent, we could also say that DA is congruent to BA because of CPCTC. So again, if these 2 triangles are congruent, their corresponding parts should also be congruent. So this was a side. This was congruent to itself. So now, if I'm just looking at DEA and BEA, I have an angle, angle, side, side. So now we just need to prove or use one more thing, and then we can prove that these 2 triangles are congruent. So if I look